Hey guys, thanks for tuning into the Lightbox, where we are going to talk about anything and everything that's happening in the media today, and maybe a mix of some other things. But today's subject is going to be Shacarri Richardson. So let's get started. Shacarri Richardson is an American track and field sprinter who competes in mostly the 100 and the 200-meter dash. But lately, she has been all over the news for competing in the Olympic trials trying to get to Tokyo, where she actually ran a new personal best of 10:72 seconds, becoming the sixth fastest woman of all time and the fourth fastest American woman. That's nuts. That's super fast. For someone who used to run track, like that's a dream. Um, but sadly, Sha'carri is not in the media today for her super wicked like speed. Sadly, she has been suspended from the Tokyo Olympics after testing positive for marijuana in her system after a race. Sha'carri did go on TV after it went public, admitting her faults and 100% taking full responsibility. And, like, that's all you can ask for. Like, she wasn't, oh, I ate this. No, she just took 100% responsibility and was like, you know what, I'm sorry. Um, and this is something that she just has to deal with. She even went further to explain that she used marijuana after a random reporter, not a friend, not a family member, just a random reporter, came up to her and told her that her birth mother had died. And I mean that one trigger that would trigger all of us, resulted in her getting suspended from the Olympics after making a bad decision. But that has been done. But lately, a lot of people have been asking to get her suspension revoked for the 100-meter dash. And personally, I don't. I don't think she should get her suspension revoked for the 100-meter dash because I only have one reason. Because at the end of the day, she did break a rule that was put in place. She was aware of this rule. This rule did not sneak up on her. She knew of it. Um, and because she was aware of something that she broke, I feel like that's just not a rule that we should just, ignore. I feel like we just cannot expect some people to be held responsible for their actions, yet ask for a pass for others. And of course, I know that people are going to mention other athletes that have either actually been caught doping or also had marijuana in their system, and they were not put on suspension. And those other situations are definitely like, really crappy, and it's definitely unfair, but I don't think I don't think that's a rule that we should start breaking for ourselves, you know? Plus, if we all think about it, we all know how the media is. And at the end of the day, if she did run and win a medal in Tokyo, the media would try their best to discredit her somehow in some way from all angles. But I will say this. I have three other things that I feel like should be questioned or should be changed in a way. And I'm going to explain those right now. The first thing that I think needs to be questioned is why was she not included in the 4x100-meter relay? Now, maybe if you were not aware, but the way that her suspension works is they suspended her for a month, right? Which means that she could not participate in the 100-meter dash because within a month, those races will be continuing. Therefore, she will just be missing them due to her suspension. But the 4x100-meter relay happens after her suspension, which means that technically she should still be able to participate in the 4x100-meter relay. And you would think by having the fastest time in the 100 that she would have been put on the team. But the coaches that work for the Olympics decided to not put her on a relay team. Why? If her suspension is over and the Olympic standards rule states that track officials are able to pick at least two athletes for the relay, regardless of their performance at trials, why not include her in the 4x1? Now, in my opinion, that seems like foul play. Her not being able to run in the 100 makes sense. She broke a rule. She's dealing with the consequences of her breaking that rule. But to just not include her in the 4x100 meter relay, why? Why not? She's off suspension. Her time definitely was is good enough to be in it. So why did they not include her? So if people are asking for that suspension to be revoked, technically the suspension doesn't need to be revoked for her to run in this 4x100 meter relay. And of course, it's not the 100 meter dash. It's not a solo medal. And of course, like I know as I am, and other Americans, like we haven't won a 100 meter relay at the Olympics for years now. And this, in their eyes, is our chance to shine. And while I definitely understand that, there's a rule that was broken. But for her as a young woman to still be able to compete in the Olympics and even possibly still get a medal in the 4x100 meter relay, she could even break like the 4x100 meter relay like individual leg record. Like there's still great opportunity to be had in the 4x100 meter relay. So for them to not include her and then not even have a real reason why, I feel like it's something that needs to be questioned and challenged. The second thing that I think needs to happen is people need to start calling on the anti doping agency, also known as the WADA, to take marijuana off of the list of performance enhancing drugs for all sports. Why? Because even the anti doping agency said that there is no evidence that marijuana is performance enhancing. And for those that haven't maybe tried marijuana and that think that it supposedly makes you move faster in a space of time, it doesn't. Sadly, you will not be Flash running to the store and running back and nobody caught you. That's not how it works. Actually, studies have been taking place and it shows that if anything, marijuana might make you slower. So not only did scientists say that there's no evidence that it can affect your performance in making you better, but it just doesn't. Another thing is, for those that aren't aware, baseball, hockey, football, all sports in the United States have removed the penalty for marijuana usage. Yes, I just said that. Baseball, hockey, and football don't get a penalty for using marijuana. So why is it that some sports and some athletes are affected? Like that doesn't make sense. This is a rule that just needs to change. It needs to update with the times. Especially with marijuana being legal in so many states and soon probably in the whole US, that rule needs to be completely removed or changed because it's just not fair to have some athletes being able to use marijuana and others, especially if they're in a state that allows the use of marijuana. And let's not forget that it is also, I think, considered good for medical uses. Like if you are jumpy or paranoid, or supposedly it's really good to help with your emotions. So I definitely think that that's like the second thing that needs to happen is this anti-doping agency, they need to go back into their list of drugs that are performance enhancing and they need to scratch marijuana right off that list because it just doesn't make any sense and it's just not fair. The third thing that, in my opinion, needs to happen is the reporter. Like, let's not forget who put Sha'carri in such a bad state of mind during the Olympic trials that she did take a step off the track and take a puff. You know, he needs to be held accountable for putting her in such a bad state of mind during the trials. If anything, many can argue that it was a form of bullying or purposely trying to influence the outcome of her races. What the reporter did was 100% wrong and disrespectful. And in another example, it is also an example of people not having respect for celebrities and athletes' mental health. And this is not a new subject. This is something that currently has been rising, especially with, YouTubers and other athletes like Naomi Osaka. They clearly are trying to put out a message that people need to have more respect for people who are higher up in celebrity status and their mental health. Like, let's not get started on that one. We can definitely talk about this in a different video. So let's keep it moving. Now, not only is the media talking about Shakar's suspension being revoked and talking about how to get it, taken away, change the rules, but there are also some rumors, let's just say a rumor, about her using performance enhancements like that was not connected to the marijuana. Claire LeMan, who is, let me just make sure y'all know who this is because I didn't. She's an Australian journalist. She has a very large following on Twitter, as well as a long history of speaking out on controversial topics. Okay, so she's a journalist, so she must have some, positive, some good journalism skills. Okay. Claire LeMan goes to Twitter and she ignorantly makes a post claiming that um, Sha'carri's strong nails and her long, different colored hair can be a side effect of steroid use. Okay. Her strong nails and hair can be a side effect of steroid use. Okay. While Claire may have done some research on what effects steroids can have on a woman, I'm gonna just be blunt here. She forgot to do her research on black culture because Sha'carri's nails, fake. Her hair, fake. Her beautiful, thick eyelashes are fake. And just as many people caught her ignorance and definitely came at her for it, it's also kind of sad to see that she wouldn't even admit her wrongdoing. And as a journalist, you would think that she would do real research to be better, so to have better support for her findings. Like that just really blew me off, and I felt like I definitely had to mention that. With that being said, Shakari's speed, there's so many things that can explain her speed. Track and field is not just running in a straight line, it's not just running in circles. And for those who haven't done track and field, they probably wouldn't understand that. You can't just go run and then be the fastest. You can be naturally fast, yes, that's a thing. But for you to be on Shakari's level and other people's level, you have to do training. And that's what she did all throughout COVID. Train, train, train. There are so many things that contribute to someone's speed in track, it's ridiculous. Their turnover speed, their form, their block starts, how high their knees can get, and many, many more. I could definitely go into depth about what makes Sha'carri fast. If you all want, I can definitely do that. For now, I'll probably find a video and link it in the description box if you really want to know why Sha'carri is as fast as she is. And let me also just make one more statement. Claire LeMan also ignorantly goes to say how Sha'carri and Flojo both had signs of long hair and nails. And might I just say, for one, Flojo uh, nails hairs was fake as well, if I may say. But also, while I do understand that Flojo recently some information has been turning up about her maybe doping. No one is sure. There is no proof. There's no evidence. There's none of that. It's all just speculation and he say, she say. But may I just also remind people, they are two different women, two different years, two different everything. And anything that Flojo has done should not and has not and will not be the same or affect Sha'carri. You just should not do that. I think that's ignorant. There are so many other athletes that have the same form or the same style, fashion as Sha'carri and Flojo. And to just, oh, Flojo did drugs, Sha'carri is too. That's just ignorance. Please do your research. Actually, I'm gonna end that video here. Don't be a Claire. Please remember to do your research without running your mouth on social media, especially if you have a big following. And don't just do surface level research like Claire did. Do subsurface research as well. Thank you all for listening. I hope this one wasn't too choppy. I definitely plan to get better over time, and I'll catch you on the next one.